What's up, everyone? It's Thomas with Real Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida. And sorry, coming at you a little bit later here. I didn't, let me fix my camera there. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, I didn't eat any dinner. I just got finished some dinner. So wanted to get on here, go over a couple of news stories like we always do, cover the market stats, the local news you need to know about, and doing a Q&A. So if you're watching it live, you're watching the replay, make sure you throw me a comment below with any questions that you might have, any concerns that you might have about what we're going to be covering here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go live on Instagram as well. And if you're watching from Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, just let me know where you're watching from. Once again, still trying to figure out this newer platform that I've been using. It's not exactly the easiest, but you know what? Nothing ever is if it's worth it, right? So typically I do go into market stats like right off the bat. And I went to a training last week and this week. It actually was really cool. This week I actually got invited to a top 500 realtors in northeastern Florida event, which to me was, it's definitely something, that was the first time I got invited. So I just broke into that, I guess, which is very cool. And I have a lot of that thanks to you guys because, a lot of my business comes from this, just from giving out information, you guys liking what I'm saying and reaching out to me. And I say this all the time, but I literally just try to give you guys the information so that you can make an educated decision. I'm not pushy. Realtors get a really bad rap, and the best ones are not this way, but a lot of them get a bad rap for being like a used car salesman or something like that. Very pushy, very slimy. And the best realtors, the ones that I know, are not that way. They're like, hey, this is what it is, take it or leave it. If you want to do it, move forward. If you don't, that's okay too. I just wanted to go over a couple things, and we're going to talk about CPI here in just a bit because we just got the report, which is apparently good news, but who knows if it's going to remain good news as we move forward in the next month. Things still feel pretty expensive to me. I don't know about you guys. You guys feel like things are just as expensive as they were? Is it ever going to go back down? I don't know if we're ever going to see that again in our lifetime. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we see gas prices start going down. Hopefully we see, eggs and bread start going down, but it hasn't happened yet. At least I don't see a large difference in the change, the cost of that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you feel like that things are lightening up a little bit. But the one thing that, a lot of realtors talk about, and I think this is important, is what's going on with the interest rates, right? And that's also related to the CPI that we just covered. And the one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the average of interest rates since we've really had the 30-year mortgage is at 7.73%, right? So that's the average interest rate across, the lifespan of that is 7.73. Now, of course, we've had peaks at 18%. We've been as low as 3% within the recent years. So what's more likely going to happen? Are interest rates going to go up or interest rates going to go down? Now, I tend to lean pessimistic. My wife will get on me for it. She wants me to be more optimistic about things. So if I'm leaning more pessimistic, I'm going to say that interest rates are going to pretty much stay where they're at or they're going to go up, right? Now, if I'm trying to be optimistic, right, we have all this data. We have all these data points like the CPI coming in lower, like the pressure on the Fed to do something and make something move because, elections coming up. They say that the presidential election and the Fed, they don't correlate at all, but I imagine they're getting some pressure from all sides. They also have a lot of debt as well. The government has a lot of debt as well that they need to refinance. So there's a lot of pressure for these rates to go back down at a certain clip, and many expected earlier this year. Hasn't happened. Now they're saying it could be later this year. We don't know. A lot of it depends on the jobs report. They're looking to kind of see some weakening in our economy, right? And that has started to happen, right? And I know, let me know what you guys think. If you've seen people getting laid off, if you've seen, or have any friends have gotten laid off. Unemployment has gone up slightly. And then the jobs report that's been coming in, it's saying, we're adding all these jobs to the economy, but what they don't factor in, and it doesn't come out till like a month later, they give you the good news, and then when people look through it, normally comes out a month later, is that most of the jobs that are added to the economy are part-time jobs, right? So it's most people that have 2 jobs, right? So it's not just having one job anymore, it's just the life. Everyone's in a gig economy now. Maybe I'll start driving Uber here at night. Who knows? Depends on what's going on here. And I used to do that. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's actually the only time you can make any money is driving Uber at night, because that's when all the drunks are out and that's when people are trying to get rides. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we're starting to see that, right? Where many people are working 2 jobs. And I imagine here in St. Augustine, that's something that a lot of people are doing because of the cost of living increase here. And mostly that has to do with housing and rent, and also food, of course. But and our wages not really going up in the same direction. So my point with that is that, listen, if you want to buy a house, whether you do, that's the most important question, right? Do you want to buy a house, right? Do you want to sell a house? Is it the best time to do either or? It's totally up to you, Like, if you want to do it, do it, get educated on it and move forward and buy a house. If you don't, if you're feeling, some type of apprehension because of what's going on in the world, potential World War III, potential market crash, everyone every day comments on my stuff for the past 3 years that the market's going to crash, and it hasn't happened. And in that time, anyone who believed those people, right, has missed out on probably 30% of equity in their home at this point. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, in this situation. The reason that I would suggest you wanting to buy a house, or even starting that, is hey, ask yourself, do I want to buy a house? Okay, does this make sense for me? And then go from there, right? Everything else can be worked out. Then figure out, does the payment make sense? How much are you putting down? Are you going to pay cash? Are you going to pay a mortgage? We can work through it, right? So, but my main point there is that, hey, interest rates, I think they're staying where they're at. I don't really think they're going to move too much, and optimistic side of me is hey, and I want them to go down. I want them to go down too, because I have a 7% interest rate, right? So if it goes down and it hits 5s, boom, I'm happy, because one, the market's going to be crazy. That's going to be good. But also, I'll be able to refinance my house, be able to pull some equity out maybe, and then also get a lower interest rate, lower my payment, so I lower my monthly carrying costs. So I'm optimistic that it will happen. I'm realistic in saying hey, let's just expect rates to be around 7, because if our average across the whole lifetime of interest rates is 7.73%, then that's the average, right? So it's probably going to gravitate up, if anything, not down. But because of all the other factors surrounding it, maybe it will go down. But who knows? If you have any questions about what I just covered here, fire them off in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and on to the next news story. I didn't have any stats to show you here today, but I did have a long day, and I wanted to eat some lunch, or dinner. God, I'm messing that up. I want to eat some dinner before I got on here. So let's go ahead, and I'll actually share this news story. I didn't get into it because CB just sent this to me. CB, awesome listener of the show, sending me this stuff every week. And this is more Flagler County, but I think this is important to cover because Flagler County is a lot more affordable than St. Johns County, and we just talked about the issues with cost of living here. Your dollar goes a lot further in Flagler County based on your housing costs, based on your rent, and you're really only a 30-minute drive to St. Augustine if you wanted to work up there. Maybe you want to go down to Daytona. There's a couple different options for you, but this is Bunnell, which is just south of Palm Coast. There's many sections that people think it's Palm Coast. It's actually Bunnell. Population set to explode with a 6,000 home development, which is pretty crazy. They've taken a massive decisive step toward the expansion of their city in the coming year. Among items approved in Monday's night's city commission is a 6,000 home development, which increased the city's population exponentially. The current population is 3,936. Well, that's pretty insane, Now, like I said, a lot of people think Bunnell is Palm Coast, and Palm Coast, there's a little section of that southwest corner of it. But yeah, so now it's going to be a direct neighbor to Palm Coast with how many homes they're going to be building. That's a pretty staggering increase, but I also think that'll also bring a lot more affordability, because if you're looking at prices between Bunnell and looking at Palm Coast, you're going to find more affordability in Bunnell. So apparently, alongside with the new development, Bunnell is aiming to now create a town center, something that's been missing in a meaningful way for most of its history. They're going to build it up around the East Coast Railway, which runs next to US 1. Interesting. That's going to be cool. Installing a new town center will create an expansion of Bunnell's economic and commercial heartbeat, which consists largely of automotive shops, independent restaurants, and small chain locations. I actually like that idea. So we'll see what happens, with all of that. But I mean, the homes are probably coming because with all the, the increase in population that we've seen here in St. Johns County, Flagler County's seen the same. Florida in general has seen a large increase in the population, and I think that also speaks to the strength of our real estate market here. Is like how many people are moving here, how much money they have. And then also, I mean, with that too, more jobs are being created because of that money moving in here. And it's a different type of money than what's been typically found around here. I mean, I imagine if I were to just take a ballpark guess, probably in Flagler County, the largest employer there, I think, is Hammock Beach Resort. And that's, hospitality industry. So probably before 2019, everyone was making probably like $30,000, I would say. That would probably be close to what the average salary in Flagler County and Palm Coast, Bunnell probably is, honestly. So it's probably not too far off of that now. And I mean, I think the median sale price there is around $300,000. I have to double check with my buddy Zach Worth. If you are looking to buy a home in Flagler County, Zach Worth's the guy to go to. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? I think this would be something that is going to add some more, more homes, more affordability, and it's going to help. And the one thing with Palm Coast too, a lot of people don't know this. Palm Coast, yeah, it's a lot more affordable, but the taxes in the city of Palm Coast are much more expensive in general than the city of St. Augustine. So you can see taxes going, or not city of St. Augustine. City of St. Augustine is almost 2%. Palm Coast is almost 2%. But at a lot of places in St. Johns County is around 1.23%. So your taxes comparatively could make the difference in what you're paying in the housing costs. So just something to keep in mind. Excuse me. I just had some Culver's. This whole YouTube is sponsored by Culver's. And I'm burping it up. So, now I like to follow this here, Mortgage News Daily. It's a great resource. They actually have great calculators on here. I use this. It's an app on my phone. So either way, this is a good resource. I feel like it's less biased than a lot of things that we're going to see. First off, the bond market rallied after the CPI data came out and remains in much stronger territory versus yesterday. That said, the context we add, the more underwhelming today becomes. As we advised yesterday, even as expected, CPI would result in bond market volatility, and that's what we're seeing so far. Thankfully, the volatility is in favor of lower rates. This would have been the case without the weaker retail sales data, but that's certainly adding to the gains, which means gains in the negative, right? With 10-year yields down only 6 bips in the 10 a.m. hour, this is shaping up to be one of the least volatile potential reactions to today's data. So what they're essentially saying is that, I almost ended this broadcast, still trying to learn this. What they're essentially saying is like, hey, this is a good thing, right? We all, the news is saying, oh, the housing market's doing this, the housing market's getting crushed, inventory is increasing, and that's the truth, right? Inventory is increasing, and is that in relation to what's going on in the economy? 100%. Is that in relation to interest rates rising? 100%. There's no secret there, right? But there's also, the biggest thing is like, oh, the housing supply is booming. Well, yeah, we're going into summer. That is typically when the housing supply booms, right? Like across the nation, that's typically what happens. So is there elements in that make it maybe it's a little bit more accelerated than normal? For sure. But in general, it's doing what it normally does in the terms of seasonality. So interest rates going down, I think, are a great thing. I hope it goes down further. But like I said earlier, there's no one here with a crystal ball. I wish I had one, and probably wouldn't be working, I'd be telling fortunes. But either way, let's go on to the next news story here, guys. Something a little bit more upbeat, right? We'll go to something that's a little cooler. All right, City Jaguars agree to split $1.25 billion costs on Stadium of the Future, invest more in downtown Jacksonville. Mayor's office and Jaguars unveil proposal at City Council meeting. Deal will need final approval from council members. Now, of course, there's a lot of people that are for this, a lot of people that are against this. I think this would be an awesome, I'm trying to get this still to just ads. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see. So, $1.25 billion on the Stadium of the Future. that won't include new taxes and will keep the team in town for the next generation. So one of the things to outline here is the city's $625 million portion will be factored into the annual budget across the next 4 years and won't include a tax increase for residents. The city also agreed to pay $150 million if a new deal is signed for maintenance and upkeep needed, bringing Jacksonville's total investment to $775 million. That latter $150 million is notable because it's the actual percentage of the side of the city and how it's presented at the NFL owners meeting. The proposal that could be given to the NFL would be framed as a 50-45 split, with the city taking on a 55% portion. League owners are unlikely to approve a 50-50 split. Upon an approved deal, the city would immediately invest $150 million, making Jacksonville's investment $775 million into immediate maintenance and upkeep and needs of the stadium and costs that would go into getting the stadium ready for those renovations. A new stadium deal requires 75% of NFL owners to approve. Now, the one thing I would mention with this is and I don't know the validity of this, is with this stadium and kind of like, hey, this is gonna make sure that the Jacksonville Jaguars stay in Jacksonville for the next generation, which was quoted in that article there. The Jags play in London, I think 2 times a year, or maybe it was 1 time, now it's 2 times. I think it was 2 times last year. I'm more of a UFC guy, not a football guy. So the concern that the Jacksonville Jaguars would be leaving Jacksonville was actually very high among residents. And really in downtown Jacksonville, there's not much to do besides going to like a sporting event, like going to a football game or going to, the minor league baseball games. There's really not too much to do. Now things are changing in a positive direction. They're starting to add a river walk. They're starting to invest in the north and the south bank of Jacksonville. But in general, it's not your typical city center where we see in many metropolitans across the United States. Just to give you an idea, and I make this joke, but it's not even a joke, it's the truth. For a while, people used to go down to the Landing, and like one of the best restaurants in the Landing was Hooters, right? And there's nothing wrong with Hooters. Hooters, great wings, but not exactly the crown jewel that you want for Jacksonville. So either way, what do you guys think about the stadium? I think it's something that we need, and if it's not going to increase the tax base for residents here, that's fantastic too. I think it's a good deal. I don't know. I could be full of it. Maybe I don't know enough of it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll go on to the next news story here, guys. And this one's a juicy one, I think. Okay. So several years ago, before I was even doing my live stream, someone bought St. Augustine High Rise, right? So the Treasury building here, which this is the worst picture of it, but it's this building right here. So St. Augustine-based Jalaram Hotels wants to turn the historic downtown tallest building into a new luxury hotel. Cathedral Place currently holds office space, but that could change if the city approves the hotel plan. Originally, the First National Bank, hotel magnate Kanti Patel bought the building for $10 million in 2018. So they've been trying to do something with this, and they're trying to put this in front of there. So what they want to do is put a luxury hotel, like a 5-star hotel down there, and a parking garage within it as well. So anyone that complains about parking, it's already going to have that in there. It's going to accommodate as many as 160 vehicles. It's going to have 120 rooms. So I think, in all honesty, we're already downtown St. Augustine's already a tourist destination. It's not, and it's a place people here, locals, can hang out, but everyone that's a local here, they're only going ever so often. I wouldn't say people are like going downtown every week, I live a mile from downtown. Let me see, that was the last time I went out downtown. I went out for dinner with a friend maybe 2 weeks ago. And we might go for a walk downtown here and there, but actually go out and enjoy dinner or something like that. We're typically going to stick away from all that, especially during summer and Night of Lights. So, this is definitely going to change the fabric of downtown because there's already so many Airbnbs and hotels that have already been built, and we're just adding on to that. And a lot of locals are very upset about this. And that's because, St. Augustine really isn't for the locals anymore. And that's why I believe that, you guys know I've covered West Augustine a lot of times, that's why I believe that West Augustine is going to kind of be the place where locals start to go, because it's just outside of downtown. It's close enough if you want to go down there, you can. But I think West Augustine and West King Street is kind of the vision of like what they want to do, which is why the city of St. Augustine and the county have now renamed West City, renamed a portion of West Augustine, the business district, to West City, which is still within the city of St. Augustine tax district. So if you're in West City, you're going to end up paying around 2% in taxes. So they've actually now started to, I think they got a grant from the state and the federal government. They're going to be revitalizing West City, whatever that means, fixing up sidewalks and buildings with blight. But either way, I think this is, hey, we may as well pour the gas on it, because St. Augustine's a cool town. It's not going to stop being a cool town. Downtown is historic. It's beautiful. They're not going to change the exterior of that building, so it's going to look the same, and it's pretty much for any resident. I've never been. I've been on the first floor of that building. I've never been on any other floors of that building, so I don't think it really makes a difference to the residents here. But I could be wrong. If you're a resident, you're watching locally, let me know what you think. You think it's a bad move, the city of St. Augustine? You think it's a good move? Let me know what you think. All right, we're going to head on to the next news story here, guys. After 27 years of stability, Northeastern Florida Regional Airport taps fourth director since March 2023. On Monday, the board overseeing the airport chose Courtney Pittman to replace Jamie Top. Pittman is the fourth man to leave the airport since early 2023. Man, I hate reporting anymore these days. They literally give you nothing. Like, yeah, I could write this. I could write this in my spare time. Like, this is reporting. There's a video, and I don't even know if the videos are going to do anything. But either way, I'll talk a little bit on this because I've been covering it for a while. Northeastern Florida Regional Airport, as of right now, is a small airport in the northern part of it's probably 10-minute ride from downtown St. Augustine if you're on US 1. Northrop Grumman operates out of that, which is one of the largest employers here in St. Augustine. And we've had commercial airlines go in and out. They've gone in, they've gone out, they've started doing travel, and they've gone out. And at one point, I think in 2018, Frontier was flying in and out of there. We had direct flights to Philly. I think in 2021 or 2022, we had, I think it was Allegiant that was flying from here to somewhere in, I want to say it's Portland, New Hampshire, maybe that was it. I don't know, it's supposed to be like a really cute coastal town. And then there's another one that flew to Newark, New Jersey. Either way, all of these have faltered, right? They've come in, they've gone out, and they've not come back. And I think a lot of this has to do with the director of the airport and the negotiations that he's having with these airlines, or they, or she, or whatever, is having with these airlines. Because to me, it seems like if we can just keep one airline here and just run it from here to the Northeast, that's going to be enough for most people. We had one run into Newark, and to me, there's so many people that are here, that live here from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Newark would be a perfect location for that. That's where you're going to hit the majority of people coming back and forth. Coming down as snowbirds or want to go up and visit family, family come down here and visit. To me, that seemed like a perfect setup. Maybe it just worked really well for me. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like they can get the negotiations right, and it doesn't seem to make sense for us. Though we do have Jacksonville just an hour north of us. I think that would be, we just need a couple, maybe one or two airlines to fly in and out of, which would be really nice. Or even if you had hey, you know what, hop here, you fly over to Orlando, you get what you really need to do, something that can make our travel a little bit easier here in St. Augustine. But let me know what you think about that, guys. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I got one more news story for you. If you have any questions, follow them up below. But this is gonna pretty much tail end what I was saying before and what we always talk about here, right? St. Johns County nonprofits are looking to bring solutions to a continuous problem: affordable housing. And last week we covered it, right? They bring a solution of affordable housing, and then the area where they want to put it tends to be of a higher price, and the people there say, hey, no, we don't want affordable housing here. And the reason they always get off on is say, oh, we don't want any traffic, right? But then you also see in the comments of you go on Facebook and watch whenever someone posts in St. Augustine News, they'll post affordable housing going here, and they're like, oh, this will be the end of St. Augustine. The vagrants are coming. You know, these people are going to ruin this town. A whole bunch of negative things. And maybe there's some truth to that, right? I'm not denying that, but to deny people affordable housing when we really do have a major gap between the people that work here and the people that have moved here with money in terms of the housing costs and what people can afford, there's a major divide. And that's no secret, something I've been talking about for a while. So they're trying to do what they can, but unfortunately, there's not much they can do because the residents always vote it down. There was one they were going to put on St. Augustine Beach, voted it down. Just last week, it was one outside of Silverleaf, voted it down. But just around the corner for me here in West Augustine, they're building a huge one, right? And I have no problem with that. So it's probably a 2-minute drive from my house, right around the corner. It's a mile and a half from downtown, you know? So that gives people a place, an opportunity to work. And then also it's going to be a little bit more affordable versus a $2,000, $3,000 monthly rent. You know, they're going to be paying under $1,500 a month. So one of the staggering things that they put on here, let me see, I read it here, let me find it. Ray's research has found that Florida has a severe affordable housing deficit. For every 100 households whose income is less than 30% of the area's median income, there are only 26 affordable and available rental units. So, I mean, that's not a lot, you know. I mean, I could probably hop on Zillow right now. I'll just pull it up here and see if I can find it. So I'll show it if I'm right, you know. I'll hop on Zillow real quick, and if I put in St. Johns County, and I were to put under 200,000 in terms of pricing, under 200, I bet there's nothing. Let's see. Okay, I'm wrong. Okay, I'm wrong. There's 200 and I'll share my screen here. Give me a sec. In St. Johns County, there's 247 results for homes under 200,000. Now, I mean, they're not exactly going to be the most brand new home in the world. You're definitely going to have to do some renovations to bring it up to par. But you know what? You can also buy a nice boat slip and put your houseboat there if you wanted to. But a lot of that's going to be townhomes, condos. All these 150s, these are actually, you're renting a lot from them. So it's a 55 plus community. You have mobile homes, condos, 1 bedroom, 832,000. Let's see what's the cheapest. Let's sort it here. I saw a 1 bedroom condo. It looks like a townhome. Let me take this out. Sorry. Let me take. This is where it is. Let's do it. 59,000 in Hastings. I might buy that right now. Well, maybe not. You're not going to get a mortgage on that bad boy. This is one I saw here. This, I think, is in a great location. $150,000, a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. If you're a service worker in downtown St. Augustine, this is perfect right here, right? You get a little 1 bedroom, $150,000. Probably can negotiate your closing costs. Your mortgage is going to be next, won't be that much, but it'd be worth it. This is a clean unit too. $150K. To me, this seems like a good investment for an annual lease. Let me see I don't even think the maintenance is all that much. I don't have it on here, do they? They don't. But just give you an idea of the location here. This is 312. This is US 1. This is where, Flagler Hospital's right here. You got Wells Fargo, Carrabba's. Got a whole bunch of shopping centers within this area. Home Depot, Target, all right here. You're 15 minutes you're probably 12 minutes to the beach. Honestly, you're probably 8 minutes to downtown St. Augustine for $150K. That ain't bad at all. So I like that. I like that property a lot. So it's funny. I was actually talking about how things aren't affordable here, and then I go ahead and find a place that's awesome for $150. But in general, there's only one, right? That's it. All the rest of them needed to have complete renovations. But there's only one thing available that really is affordable. But either way, let's go ahead and look at these comments here, guys. Sorry. So let's see. CB, speaking of Culver's, new traffic signal plan for SR16 in Stratton. Culver's opens on May 20. Yeah, CB, I'm excited for it, man. I mean, not that Culver's is that far from me on US 1 South, but That one's probably like a 6-minute drive. That's dangerous, man. That's dangerous for me. A lot of locals are not happy about that at all. Like, oh man, that's the worst place for a Culver's. That intersection's going to be terrible. I pretty much live off 16 now. I lived off 16 with my townhome. I don't think that's a bad area at all. I think it's great. I mean, where they put the Chick-fil-A and the Wawa right next to each other, that was a terrible choice because, I mean, how much traffic goes into Chick-fil-A and Wawa? That was dumb, you know? But they should put the Culver's and Chick-fil-A next to each other and put the Wawa where it is on Stratton Road, but I don't know. I don't work for the city planning department. CB, the airport had a grant for American Airlines to fly to Charlotte, but it never came to pass. Yeah, see, I don't know if Charlotte would be worth it, honestly. If like, how many people move here to North Carolina? So, like, if you're trying to hit the locals that have lived here and get them to travel back and forth to North Carolina, 100%. People are, because North Carolina is so much cheaper than it is here, people are selling their houses here, taking their money and running up north. I just put a video out last week pretty much outlining that exact thing. But more than likely, they're probably leaving and taking their family with them, I would think. But I don't know. I feel like you have to, do what's best for most people. And with so many people here from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I feel like if you got a flight up to like Newark or Philly, that'd be fantastic. But that also highly benefits me. Got family up there. Let's see. Charles Spinato, good evening, joined late. Hey, better late than never. I appreciate you guys. Well, hey guys, listen. I'm not going to lie to you. I came ill prepared this week. We had some cool news stories, but I really didn't get a chance to look into them. I've been pretty busy helping people buy and sell real estate, which is it's good life. Good life. Got some cool opportunities. Someone actually called me today to get on a podcast, which I'm pretty excited about. I think that'll be fun. And that's actually in Putnam County because they saw my video about Palatka. And she's like, hey, listen, I lived here my whole life. I was born here in Palatka. And I feel like you gave a really honest and a good and bad of Palatka, of what it is. And she's like, and I hate when people trash the city so much because it does have so much potential and it is revitalizing, but then you have all the people that are like, no, it's a shithole, it's this, and it's like, I don't see that at all. I think Palaka's pretty awesome, honestly, and it's definitely like old Florida. If you're looking to live in like old Florida, Palaka's the place to go. And a lot of people, and I said this in my video, but from what I've just talking with my sister that lives here, my buddy that I've known since I was 7 years old lives there. He was like, man, it feels like how St. Augustine felt 20 years ago. Much slower. You know everyone. Just a different pace of life than what here in St. Augustine is now. So I like Palatka a lot. I think it's going to change. Let's see here. We got Nikki Westcott, home inspector. Very cool. She loves Palatka. Yeah. And, I think it's because it's one of the old railroad towns, so I think that those towns, I think what Florida needs to do is really get their public transportation set up, and not like a subway or a train or a trolley car, which they've talked about in St. Augustine, but an actual train, a passenger railway that can take you from Jacksonville all the way down to the Florida Keys, right? And it'll make a whole bunch of stops on the way. Maybe get an express train. Why is that not a thing? Florida, very interesting actually. Florida, in terms of their economy, I think they're in the world. I think Florida has like the top 20 economies in the entire world. So we're beating out countries, and I'll have to pull that data. I want to say we were 13 out of every country, and so California was above us. I think New York was above us as well. But we're beating out every countries with our economy here in Florida. So why can't we do that? Why is a passenger rail not possible here? Especially when it's something that it's not going to go in. If you started it today, it's not going to go into effect for 10 years at least. So then you're going to have 10 years of earmarking tax dollars for that, and then it's going to be around forever. So you're going to have tax dollars paying it over and over and over again forever. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, but then again, the government wastes a lot of money, so is what it is. MTA, you know what? Me and my wife, not to go on a tangent here, guys, you guys can leave if you want, but me and my wife were in Japan about a month ago, and Tokyo is just like the Japanese New York, very much so. I really didn't like Tokyo. I lived in New York, great city. But that's why I really didn't like Tokyo. I'm like, man, if I want to go to a good city, I just stay here on the East Coast and go to New York. But let me tell you, the metro, the train in Tokyo was so clean. Never had to worry about like homeless people screaming or people like doing flips and backflips on the subway. Never had to worry about any of that. When everything works so well off your phone, like, and I'm obviously, it's all in Japanese and everything, but it'll tell you when it's delayed. It's like, oh, it's delayed, and it'll tell you why it's delayed. In New York, if the train is delayed, good luck. It could be a minute, it could be 2 hours. Doesn't matter. They're not going to tell you what it is. There's no type of communication. On the app in Japan, it would tell you, like, hey, if you need to make a transfer, you want to get in car number 3 because that's going to be the quickest and fastest way. Oh, and in car number 3, it's not that crowded, and the temperature is pretty good, And I'm like, oh my God, like MTA could never touch this, like never, ever. But I'm sure that's also, that's another thing. MTA's got all that money from taxpayers, right? But you don't really see it at all. Now they have a lot of stations and everything, but Japan's railway goes all through Japan. And it's also kind of broken up into like 5 or 6 different owners of all the railways. So very interesting looking at that. But either way, guys, I'm going to get off here. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday night. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Here every Wednesday at 8 p.m., 8 p.m.-ish, going over the market stats, the news you need to know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing. And we're doing a Q&A, so if you have any questions, you can even fire them off now. I'll get back to them when I can, but if you're watching it live or the replay, I messed that whole spiel up. Either way, I'll get back to it when I can. I'll answer them live if I have to. But see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m., guys. Have a good one.